Well, hello everyone. This is Tex Pat. I went today to the my healthcare provider, doctor, and told him that I had this fever for 3 days. Right at around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 Celsius. But I haven't had any of the other symptoms associated with coronavirus. For example, no sore throat where it's difficult to breathe or to drink or to eat. No shortness of breath, no temperature spikes, no coughing. I just said it's just been this temperature and run down feeling. And she told me, she said, then you don't have the coronavirus, because the coronavirus has certain symptoms that we have to go by. And so that's the good news. That's the good news. She said, just stay home, chill out, and do things around the house that you know that need to get done, and also monitor myself. And she said, if for any reason I just start having coughing fits, or I feel like I can't breathe, or it's very hard to breathe, then she said, come in. We will, then we will do all the other stuff for you. One of the things that she did tell me is when I had said before on my videos, is there could be a million reasons why you would have a fever. And she said, I just have just a regular flu, what they call type A. So the good news is I don't have the coronavirus. Now, I want to thank anybody and everybody who have watched my last videos on this. This is day 4. This is my day 4 of self-quarantine. I just want to thank everybody for supporting, their love, their prayers. You may not see it on my videos as views, or you may not see it on my videos as likes or comments, but you do see it. I see it. And I see it in, because I have my email address on the description. But I do see it. And I want to thank anybody and everybody for your love and your support. And the devil's not going to get me down. And I'm just going to praise the Lord. I put out a video yesterday on some YouTube channels that I watch. Go and pay them a visit. If you like what they put out, subscribe to them. Hit the like button. Leave a comment as to the video. And share it. Share it all. If you like what you see on mine, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And with that, I want to say thank you again to everyone. And I'm going to be, as soon as this lockdown is done, I'm going to be hitting the streets. I've got some walking videos to do. And I can't wait. I mean, The streets are, for the most part, practically deserted. I want to see life return back to normal. I just have a bad feeling the governments like this control. They like this control. And I don't think we're going to get all of it back. Well, we allowed it to happen. We allowed some so-called smart-minded people to tell us what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, and everything else. And in some cases, maybe that was needed, like in all the panic buying that went on in the United States. You should always have emergency food. Always have it. Because you never know if there's going to be an emergency. You should always have emergency things that you know you're going to need in case of. For example, in Luzon, in the northern tip, where is Tuguegarao, Apari, Ilocos, Santa Ana, Bagao, and even at the house in Kulit. You know, that's not tornado. That's Hurricane Alley or Typhoon Alley. That is the one place the typhoons just simply love to go through, is right through that northern tip, right through the valley, Cagayan Valley. And when Ompong came through, it devastated everything. Destroyed crops, flooded, destroyed buildings, destroyed the Kulit United Pentecostal Church. So you're not going to have power in cases like that. It can take up to a month or more to get your power. You're not going to have a lot of things. So here's the thing. What are you going to do if something happens, a natural disaster, for example? How are you going to get food when the roads are closed because of debris or got torn up and you can't really leave your barangay? You know, you've got to have emergency food. You've got to have that. Now, at the house in the province, we got a well. We'll always have water, even and it's filtered. There's a filtering tub that has sand, charcoal, and sand. And the water gets put down through there first before anything. If you have to boil water for 30 minutes, you know, you got to boil water for 30 minutes. At least it's going to be drinkable water. Get iodine pills. You can get them at the pharmacy. Get iodine pills. That will clean and get rid of any bacteria that could be in the water. But these things you got to have. You got to have food, for one. And I know personally for myself, here, I have 2 months worth of food. A lot of rice and a lot of canned vegetables, canned food, and things like that. Tonight I had tilapia with fried rice. Very yummy. And my freezer has worked perfect. But in case that freezer and the electricity goes down, because there are brownouts, in case of that, what else are you going to be able to eat? So you got to plan ahead, and the food that you buy that's extra, don't use it unless it's an emergency. You can keep rice. What I do is I put rice in the freezer for 2 weeks. In about 2K bags. I put them in the freezer for about 2 weeks. What that does, that kills the weevil eggs or any insect eggs that might be within the rice. That'll kill it. And then I take them out and then I store them. And you can do that with lentils. You can do that with pinto beans. You can do that with all kinds of food that you need to use to have water for, to cook, like rice, beans, blah, blah, blah. You should always have emergency food ready. And for a family of 4, in some cases, you might need to save up quite a bit. But you don't use that food unless it's an emergency. You can buy a big plastic tub, and put that food in there and put a lid on it. That's your emergency food. You don't use it for anything but for emergencies. Now, you should know that everything has an expiration. So as something is coming to be expired, you would pull that out and you would cook it before it expires, and then you replace it with a new one. But don't use that food. Always make sure you have plenty of batteries, that you have some way to have light. If you don't have a generator, make sure you have some way that you can have light, flashlights, lanterns, things like that. Always make sure you're going to have that. If you have what they call in the province electric water, which is an electric pump, well, if the electricity goes down, guess what? Is your well, are you able to do manual pump? The old-fashioned, pump the handle, the water comes out. Are you able to do that? There's all kinds of things that you can do to prepare for a natural disaster, or in this case, a biological disaster. Because you don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen. I mean, this world shut down so quickly, it wasn't even funny. And you've got to be able to take care of business when these things happen. You still have to feed your family. You still have to feed the kids. Taking care of your neighbors, especially if they're elderly, single moms, and things like that, and children. Those are the ones you need to really help take care of. And it's important that you do. So my advice is, when you go out and buy food the next time, buy a small 1 kilo thing of rice or a 2 kilo thing of rice extra. If you have a freezer, like a refrigerator with a freezer on it, stick it in that freezer for two weeks. Then pull it out and put it in a Tupperware or a container that that's going to be used for emergency food only. You got to do this. You have to discipline yourself to do this. You have to consider what would happen if. Are you going to be able to feed your family? Do you have an outside garden like we do in the province? There's a nice garden in the backyard. and growing all kinds of wonderful things. Chickens and ducks. So you got to always have yourself prepared for anything that could come around. The things that everybody needs: food, in this thing here, by order of necessity: water, shelter, food. Those are the things you need. So if you're in a position to where you haven't done that, and then you find yourself hurting because you haven't done that, then you got to look at it as, well, it's my fault because I didn't listen when I should have listened. So we got to get past this living and buying food for just the day. Because just like now, the shops are closed. Sorry stores are closed. Little convenience stores are closed. You might have the SM open, but they may not have what you need. And if you're not working, you're not going to have the money to pay for that. So while you do have the money, when you do have the money, and you are working, then guess what? Just take that little extra bit. Don't go out and buy cigarettes or wine or spend it on whatever that you don't need to spend it on. Then go and buy the extra food. You say, well, a lot of people have said, well, that's not living by faith. Well, let me tell you something. Faith is an action word. It's not passive, it's action. And faith will lead you to do something. If you are living by faith, you'll always be prepared for any eventuality that can come down the pipe. So you got to think about things like that. And these are important that you do. And we've seen it now. Because, well, let's say, it was in the United States that everybody went and panic bought. I mean, they completely emptied out the stores of everything. Everything that had to do with what they thought that they were going to need. The first things to go were the prepared foods, like ravioli, SpaghettiOs, all your frozen prepared meals already. Those were the first things to go. Toilet paper. My God. People bought so much toilet paper like I'm sorry, but if you run out of toilet paper, you can still take a shower. That'll clean off your rear end. So anyway, you got to get to the point to where you can't think, well, I'm just going to buy for 2 or 3 days or something like that. If you've got a good refrigerator, yeah, you can buy your frozen meats and stuff like that. But you can't really buy frozen vegetables or fresh vegetables that way. They'll keep in a freezer, but you want your emergency food to be canned food. It's not always the greatest and healthiest, but canned vegetables, if you can, canned meats, sardines, canned salmon, canned chicken. You can buy all that kind of stuff. But you want enough to where it's going to last you for a month. So you got to figure out how much people are going to eat in a month. And the mom or the one who does the cooking should know how much that family will eat in one sitting. And in a lot of cases, you might have to ration it out. In other words, instead of a plate full of rice you normally would eat only a cup of rice. You still have your rice. Rice in itself has no nutritional value. All it does is just make you feel full, but it has no nutritional value. So what you do is portion out the food. Yeah, guess what? You might lose a little weight too. So what you do is just take these guidelines and start preparing for the next time. Earthquakes, tornadoes, typhoons, hurricanes, volcanoes. We don't know what's coming down the pipe next, and we should consider that maybe we need to start preparing. Because you want to take care of yourself and you want to take care of your family. See if you can get extra medication if you're on any kind of maintenance medicine, like for your heart, your cholesterol, your blood pressure. These things you really got to think about. Women need to think about their feminine needs. Do you have enough, with what you're currently using, and do you have an extra of it for emergencies? All these things we need to consider. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared. And because I know people right now, they ain't got hardly any food at all. And I'm having to feed them. Because they didn't think that anything like this could ever happen. You always think something like this can happen. It happens to the good and the bad. It rains on the just and the unjust. All together. So you have to prepare yourself and your family for the next eventuality. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared. Because you're acting in faith that something else will come down the pipe. I want to thank you all again for all your love and support. Visit those people that I posted on yesterday's update for quarantine, and go and pay a visit to them and visit their site. If you like what you see, like, comment, share, and subscribe. As for me, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I can use all the help I can get. And thank you. God bless you.